I discovered that fitness is the gateway to higher levels of success, discipline, building your adversity muscles. Because let's face it, being an entrepreneur, if you're going to start a franchise or if you're going to start any kind of business for that matter, like, yes, you need good marketing. Yes, you have to sell. But you also need to have thick skin. You need to have emotional resilience. You need to have strong adversarial muscles to deal with, right, all this adversity that's going to come to you. That's just how it is. Anything worthwhile comes with resistance and adversity.
So you have a passion for fitness and the desire to start your own business. But launching a massively successful fitness business is extremely complex. The systems, operations, hiring, firing, coaching, sales, and marketing are critical to success. Where do you even start? This show will give you the answers. Here is Bedros Keuillian and Bryce Henson, your hosts of the Fitness Franchise Podcast, a show dedicated to helping fitness entrepreneurs launch and grow successful gyms.
Welcome back, friends, to another incredible episode of the Fitness Franchise Podcast. And before we get into today's episode, I want to give you a friendly reminder to give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and write us an incredible review on iTunes. That way we can keep producing this content for you for free. So ready to go, our man B in the studio, in the house. And we just shot and released this awesome origin story episode of Fit Body Bootcamp because we got so many requests. And we thought we'd do another spin on the origin story with the theme of the modern day night project. And since Bedros himself created this, and really like taking a step back, the vision or the need for any entrepreneur is personal growth, it's leadership, it's mindset, and really the foundation of the modern night project encapsulates all these three and more. So B, would love to get some insight on a little bit of the project, the what, the how, the when. We'll story tell a little bit, but I want to tee up here.
Yeah. Well, we're probably going to beat the punch here because the guys are creating a documentary that is going to talk about the origin story more in depth. So if you're watching this or listening to this, look for the Modern Day Night Project Origin Story because this is probably going to come out before that documentary does. But dude, it's funny. I've never really kind of gone in depth to talk about it. Just like the Fit Body Bootcamp origin story. I guess it's kind of like those things where you start something and you just figure like, all right, I started it, I'm going to move forward. Mm-hmm. But as you're a few years down the road, you realize like, man, I never really talked about, or no one knows how this came to be and why it came to be and who it's for, et cetera. So appreciate the opportunity to be able to kind of give the origin story of the project. And
by the way, sorry to interject there, where we're currently at with the project, just for you viewers, and B, we'll kind of story tell a little bit, but you just finished class 13, so this is first week of June, so we're about to launch, I guess you're about to launch the 14th class in June, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we're about 3 years into the project, started class 001 was July of 2019. And really the way the project started, man, was so strange. It's like when the universe wants something to be, it will bring all the right people into your life and collude together and create that thing. Like I really believe like that's how you came to be here at Fit Body Bootcamp and grow this thing with us, and the same with the project. And so if you remember in September of 2018, my book Man Up came out. Yeah. And I spent a lot of time in the marketing phase of that, and so it became a bestseller very quickly in the first year. So September of 2018, the book comes out, Man Up, and it's about entrepreneurial leadership and the 6 pillars of high performance. And in it, I talked about how I discovered that fitness is the gateway to higher levels of success, discipline, building your adversity muscles. Because let's face it, being an entrepreneur, if you're going to start a franchise or if you're going to start any kind of business for that matter, like, yes, you need good marketing. Yes, you have to sell. But you also need to have thick skin. You need to have emotional resilience. You need to have strong adversarial muscles to deal with, right, all this adversity that's going to come to you. That's just how it is. Anything worthwhile comes with resistance and adversity. And it is the entrepreneur who has built his emotional, physical, and mental muscles who's able to break through. And so when I was a horrible entrepreneur, one thing I did was, and this was actually by reading a book written by a Navy SEAL. Howard Wasden was the book author. The book was Memoirs of a Navy SEAL Team 6 Sniper. And he was a sniper in the 90s for the SEAL teams. And he was actually there during the whole Black Hawk Down scenario that unfolded in Mogadishu, Africa. He was there. And, he tells that story, and he talks about how Navy SEALs are taught to never quit and to accomplish the mission at all costs, no matter what. And that you are never out of the fight, and that even if you deal with a temporary failure, you will get back into the fight until your last breath, is what I got out of the book, right? And I'm like, well, shoot, if I could just take that mindset and that belief system into the entrepreneurial battle, I will have a distinct advantage over my competitors. Because let's face it, things got stressful. I would just kind of start moping and trying to sleep in and ignore the work that I had to do. I only wanted the good days of being an entrepreneur. The bad days of being an entrepreneur were not fun, and I would ignore them and avoid them and hide from them. Well, the reality is you're going to have the bad days. because
and many times they're more freaking than the good days.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to.
Ain't that the truth? I think it was Norman Vincent Peale who said, there's only one type of person that has no problems, and that is dead people. Dead people have no problems. The rest of us will have problems, we'll have solutions, we'll have success, we'll have despair, we'll have the whole peaks and valleys, the entire spectrum of life will be given to us. And it is given to us, to test our resolve. How bad do you want success and happiness, and to break out of your average or mediocre financial constraints. And having come from an immigrant from a third world country, Armenia, a former communist country. We lived in Section 8 housing. You know the whole backstory there. And so the last thing I wanted to do was live average. I wanted to have an extraordinary life, and I wanted to give my wife and kids an extraordinary life. And so I really stepped up to be an entrepreneur, but I thought it was all sales and marketing, and that there were no bad days. And when the bad days came, they overwhelmed me. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So after reading this book by Howard Wazin, I was like, I need to start thinking and operating like a Navy SEAL. And so what do? They run a lot, they swim a lot, they do all these tough things, and they do all these things to almost recalibrate their thermostat. If you think about the Nest thermostat on your wall, where you could set your thermostat. Imagine if you could set your adversity thermostat and your emotional thermostat to a higher setting, where it takes a lot more adversity and emotional turmoil to piss you off and to break you down. That means you could do a lot more than the other guy, right? And so I'm like, well, if that works in battle, it'll work in business. And so I started to put myself through these 6-week challenges. My first 6-week challenge was to train for 6 weeks and run a marathon in 6 weeks, the San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon. It was painful, it was awful, but I hired a running coach and I did it. And dude, the lessons I learned from running that marathon and only training for 6 weeks, having never run before, not even a mile, because all I did is lift weights. The lessons I learned from running that marathon bled into my business, into my personal life, into my fitness, into every category of my life, into discipline, my daily routine. So I was like, well, I got to do more challenges. So I took on surfing, 6-week challenges.
Why 6 weeks?
I had, this is so stupid. It's so stupid. I had texted my wife, when I decided I'm going to do a 6-week challenge, I texted my wife, who at the time ran like 3 marathons a year. Ran 3 marathons a year. And I was like, hey, babe, when's your next marathon? She goes, in 6 weeks. I'm like, which one is it? San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon. All I knew was there's no hills. San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon. I used to live in San Diego. San Diego's at sea level. It's going to be flat. And if there's ever a marathon to do, Maine, you're going to do the San Diego Marathon, because it's flat and it's not hard. So I was like, shoot, it's in 6 weeks. Sign me up. And she goes, hey, they also have a half marathon. Why don't you do the half marathon, since you've never run before and you're a big, giant gorilla of a man? Do the half marathon and you might be able to survive that with only 6 weeks of training. I'm like, no. Sign me up for the full marathon, 26.2 miles. I'm doing it.
Yes, sir. Now,
if people don't know how the marathon came to be, why it's 26.2 miles, because during some battle during the Greek era, some king sent a messenger to run to the city of Marathon to deliver a message that the enemy's coming. That messenger who ran, or who was going to run to the city of Marathon, was running so hard and so fast that he keeled over and died at 26.2 miles.
Yeah.
Right? And so since he was running to the city of Marathon, that's how a marathon came to be, 26.2 miles. And so I hired a running coach, painfully accomplished the marathon. I share this with you. Since then, it's been jiu-jitsu, 6-week challenge, MMA, but that's how the 6 weeks came to be.
Yeah.
I just stick to routine, so it was all 6 weeks.
6-week work for the running. Might as well just say that formula works. Let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So since then, I've done a lot, right, of these challenges. And so I talked about it in my book, Man Up. And I talked about it, and I said, hey, if you really want to, you can take the 6 pillars that I teach in this book of becoming a high-performing human and apply it to your life. And the 6 pillars, that way well, if you want to read the book, just get Man Up. Go to manup.com or go to Amazon and buy the book. But the 6 pillars are discipline, like personal and professional discipline. Pillar number 1. Pillar number 2, be a clear and great communicator. Pillar number 3, be a great visionary. Know exactly what you want. Have a great vision and share it. Emotional resilience, be emotionally resilient so you're not freaking out every other day and stressing out and falling apart because people will look at you as a very weak leader. Of course, there is build a high-performing team because you can't do it by yourself, right? And then the 6th and final pillar, let's see here. There's a discipline, communication, emotional resilience, decisiveness. You have to be a strong decision maker, not a great decision maker. You can't make the right decision every single time, but you have to be effective in making decisions. And if it's the wrong decision, go back and course correct. So there's your 6 pillars, and I speak about them in great detail in the book, Man Up. And so there you go. But all this to say, I talked about doing these challenges, and they will make you infinitely better as a human when you put yourself against new disciplines that you haven't done before, and you learn them and you accomplish them in 6 weeks. It bleeds into every other area of your life, gives you more confidence, gives you more mental resiliency, emotional discipline, off you go. And so people would send me messages and say, hey, the 6-week challenges you talk about, you ought to put one on. And I'm like, dude, I talked about all the different ones I did. Go do one.
Go do it.
Take a marathon and do it. Yeah. Go jiu-jitsu and do it for 6 weeks, and then jiu-jitsu someone, right? Go to a competition. And so, of course, enough people DM me. I was like, fine, I'm going to do one for entrepreneurs, because if you're an entrepreneur, if you can do these challenges and level up with build stronger emotional and mental muscles, you will be a better entrepreneur, which will then make you more money, have a better team, hopefully transfer those emotions into a better husband, a better father, just a better leader, because that's how it worked for me. And so I'm like, well, okay, what do I need? I need to run this challenge, but it can't be for 6 weeks. I could do it I need 3 days. Joe, I need just over 3 days. And so I'm talking to Aaron. We're working out together, and I'm like, dude, imagine doing this project thing for entrepreneurs where during the 75 hours, about a 3-day period, we put them through all these different Navy SEAL type tactics, but then I teach them about business and productivity and time management and emotional management and all these things. He's like, yeah, we need a Navy SEAL. I'm like, all right, well, I got a few friends who are SEALs. Let me reach out to them. That's how Ray, the Navy SEAL, comes into our life. And then, of course, Steve Eckhart, who's a Marine, he's a coaching client, an amazing programmer in terms of fitness. He programs workouts so effectively. I'm like, hey, and he's just angry and upset at life. And so I love that about him, but he's just such a disciplined human. And so Ray and Steve, the Marine and Navy SEAL, are the hammers of the 75 hours. That is the project. Myself and Aaron are teaching discipline, productivity, time management, breath work. We do the evolutions that are not beach torture, not crawling through the pit, but more like either learning in a classroom setting or meditation, breath work, ice baths, etc. And then, of course, we have Matt Schneider, who used to work for us, now works for one of our sister companies, and former SWAT operator, and he teaches pistol tactics and how to be a protector and a defender of humanity, because I believe that all men should be protectors and providers and be prepared. Protect, provide, and be prepared for whatever is to come. And so I was like, all right, if we do this for men, and the reason I wanted to do it for men, Bryce, male entrepreneurs, is because there was one more thing that helped me have this big mental breakthrough that made me a better leader and entrepreneur. And that is when I worked with a therapist, Kevin. And when I worked with Kevin, he helped me un-F myself because, having been molested as a kid, growing up in Armenia, and then being called a foreigner and picked on and bullied when we came here, I carried a lot of baggage, and that kind of messes with your identity, gives you this false identity. And so as I broke through all those limiting beliefs with Kevin, the therapist, I was like, man, I'm just like unstoppable. I am mentally tough, physically tough. I can handle all types of emotional stress and adversity. Best of all, I've got no more limiting beliefs and glass ceilings that are, making me feel like I don't deserve success or that I should upper limit my happiness. Like, the sky's the limit. And so I'm like, we're going to put all that into the project, right? So physical tortures, mental torture, education in front of a marker board, and then, of course, journaling and talking about the toxic cognitions, what bad things have happened to you in life that have given you this false narrative of who you are, and that maybe you're unlovable, unworthy of success, that you shouldn't be happy, that all the things that I had felt. And so I said, if we do this for men and men only, they'll feel safe and vulnerable to speak about that, and they'll break through all these limiting beliefs as long as they can survive it. And so with that, the 75 hours of the first class was born. And so I'm excitedly telling all these instructors, and by the way, Ray at the time, I can now talk about it, but at the time I couldn't. Ray, the Navy SEAL, he was done being a Navy SEAL, but he was working for the CIA as a contractor.
Right.
And so I was like, hey man, I want to do this thing. I'm going to pay you to do it. It's going to be called The Project. You need to be this angry Navy SEAL just like you are, putting people through all this like physical torture to break these men down so that I could help build them back up. He's like, I could do that, except I get deployed with the CIA and I go to places that, you guys aren't supposed to know about and do stuff to bad people that you guys aren't supposed to know about. I'm like, okay. He goes, however, I'm back in July. I go, great, we'll do the first class July of 2019. And that's how it came to be. And he goes, run me through it. I go, well, I figured, you can do some beach evolutions and you and Steve can do this stuff and me and Aaron and Matt, we're going to do that stuff. He goes, okay, so what are you going to do when guys ring out? I'm like, what's ring out? He goes, some guys are going to want to quit. I'm like, no, Ray, you don't understand. They're going to pay $12,000 to go through this experience and to be with this network of men. They would never ring out. He goes, they're going to ring out.
Yeah.
Do you have a bell for them to ring? I'm like, no. He goes, well, I'm going to bring a bell, and it's going to be just like BUDS, which is the basic underwater demolition SEAL training that SEALs go through. And if you decide you give up, you don't want to be a Navy SEAL anymore, you can just walk on over to the bell, ring it 3 times, and the BUDS, in BUDS, they ring it once. Ray has them ring it 3 times to say that you are giving up on yourself, on your dreams, and on your family. Ooh. Yeah, it's painful. And then you're free to go. Your suffering in the 75 hours is over. Done. But also your lessons and the brotherhood that you would be connected to, and all that is gone.
I think that's when the pain starts for me, like as outside looking in.
Every bell ringer has reached out and says, I realize what I'm missing out on now.
Yeah.
Like I should have suffered more, just suffered a little bit more for a lifetime of brotherhood that I could have belonged to. And so sadly, we've got about a 35-40% attrition rate. So 35-40% of the men who start the class at 1 o'clock on Tuesday aren't there at Friday at 4 p.m. when we secure it. Half of those 35-40% ring the bell and quit. The other half, we medically roll them. So their body starts breaking down, they start going into cramps, or they get injured, and so we medically roll them into the next class. We have 2 medics on hand. They're firefighter paramedics who have gone through the project, so they know the evolutions. They keep them hydrated and well maintained. But if everyone's going to be hurt, but if you're injured, you can't go on, right? Yeah. So there's a difference between hurt and injured. If you're injured, we're going to roll you. But other guys who ring the bell, dude, they ring the bell at the weirdest times. Like this last class, I was teaching life structure. I was like, hey, guys.
Classroom style.
Yeah, classroom style. They're all seated. They got coffees because we want to help keep them awake because they don't get a lot of sleep. I'm teaching. We want them to get this stuff. I'm on the marker board and I'm saying, look, here's what my average day looks like when I wake up, what I do for my morning routine, set myself up for success. Here's the date. Here's the day of the week that I take my wife on a date night. Date nights are very important. Who has a date night? No hands go up. Well, you need date nights. Otherwise, your business becomes the other woman because your wife is saying, man, you are so committed to your business, yet you won't even just spend 2 hours a week with me on a schedule, right? And I'm like, oh shit. And so while I'm teaching this stuff, a dude stands up and I'm like, hey, where are you going? Do you need to use the restroom or something? He goes, no, I quit. I go, how come? He goes, I see you're coming to the end of your teaching, because it was like a 2.5 hour block of teaching for me, and we were coming to the end of it. And he goes, I don't know what the other instructors are going to bring next in terms of the hell they're going to bring. Next evolution. So he got into his own mind and he quit. He quit.
Damn.
More guys will quit during a rest period than in the middle of an evolution. Like this last class, again, during the beach torture, it was cold, rainy, windy. The waves were extra harsh. In fact, Maine right there fell backwards into the ocean with his camera, and he saved the camera. He fully disappeared under the water, but he saved the camera.
Good work, Maine.
Yeah. And no one quit. No one quit at the beach when it was like the worst beach weather ever. And we're there like 4 a.m. when it's dark.
Damn.
Right? But then at night, when we give them 2 hours of sleep, some guy will sit up on his cot and look for an instructor and go, excuse me, I quit. Because he starts getting into his head, uh-oh, they're going to wake us up. I don't know what's next. And so it's so funny. You can take so much physically, but mentally, if you don't have that mental resilience, you tap out before your body's even ready to, right?
And that's, what business and entrepreneurship and life, it's a mental game.
Yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, man, the project is this amazing 75 hours of transformational experience for men. But the other end of that, other side of that 75 hours is a brotherhood, a network of guys that we have a private Facebook group for, that some of them have started businesses together. Others, one guy's an accountant and a CPA that helps the other guys who are entrepreneurs. The other guys who are real estate investors help dudes who are making money and want to start real estate investing. And so it's this awesome network. And twice a year we connect in person, once in Las Vegas, once in San Diego. I set up a whole brotherhood meetup retreat. But it's this really neat experience, man, where you finally have a network of like-minded men who are savage servants and driven to just do more for themselves and their families.
Dude, love it. I wanted to ask specifically who you think it's for so that our audience can be cued in, but one other talking point that I want to hit on that it's prevalent in the curriculum is the 4 F-bombs. So can you talk a little bit about, that structure and that mindset and a little bit about, I guess, the context?
Yeah. So the project, first of all, let's talk about this, who it's for. Here's the truth, man. It is for men who desire to live a life of higher purpose. Like, you know this. You and I have talked about this. Like, you're like, I'm not like everyone else. There's this gnawing in my gut, and I'm like, is it gnawing of greatness? And it's like, yeah. There's this gnawing that you either have it or you don't. And if you don't, that's okay. If someone you want to live an average life, that's cool, man. But if you have this gnawing of greatness, and so you're like, I'm going to start a business. Think about what it is to be an entrepreneur. We've talked about this. Someone already has a hot dog stand in town, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to start a hot dog stand, and mine's going to be better than his hot dog stand, and hers, and that guy's. So there's like 3 or 4 hot dog stands, or gyms, or yogurt shops, or whatever, mechanic, auto parts, whatever. And you're like, I'm going to quit my reliable and secure job that comes with 401k and health benefits and vacation pay. I'm going to put money, go into debt to create a business that already exists in my community. Like,
that's wild.
That's wild, but that is the gnawing of greatness, because you're like, I think I could do it better. And I could mine's so unique and different that I could revolutionize things in my space, right, in my industry. And when you have that gnawing of greatness, you just go for it. So it is for men who have this gnawing of greatness, I'm meant for higher purpose and potential. I know it, I feel it. I'm an island because everyone else around me just wants to be regular and average. But there's some stuff that are holding me back, limiting beliefs, glass ceilings that I need to break through. And I want to belong to a tribe of other like-minded, driven men. That's who that program is for. Like that guy, like he knows, like he sees the video and he goes, by the way, if you want to see what the video, what the project is like, here's a 1-minute sizzle reel of the project. Remember, this was 1 minute of 75 hours, and here it is. need to do to give yourself a checkup from the neck up, this is the fucking time to do it. If you're gonna quit, here's your fucking chance.
You're a fucking little bitch-ass fucking fraud!
Come on, guys, work as a team. All I hear is bitching. Piss me off and watch what happens. Put the fuck out. We are not stopping the fucking evolution because you're uncomfortable.
Making it 10 times fucking harder than it needs to be. Stop fucking half-assing shit like you're doing in your whole fucking life.
You're secured.
And so now that you saw that video, you know that the project is not something for the faint of heart. And so when we sign guys up for the project, we sign them up months in advance, and we give them training programs and nutrition programs and books to read that are going to toughen up their minds, their bodies, their everything about them. We want them to be this fortified force when they show up. And so we don't want them to just roll into the project class the day after they signed up. So if you sign up for the project, you signed up at least 6 to 8 weeks earlier, and you've got a full-on program that we've given you to get trained and conditioned nutritionally, physically, and mentally for the project, because we want every guy to succeed. The reality is some guys will ring the bell. And so, but that's who the project is for. And then, you know, the foundation of the 75 hours, the core of what we teach is based in fulfillment. Like the guy, the man who expects more of himself, who's got that gnawing of greatness in his gut, he knows he's got a higher purpose and potential on this planet, he wants to fulfill that. He wants fulfillment, right, of that higher potential. So to get fulfillment, you must have your 4 F-bombs in place. Your faith, which is your faith in yourself, your confidence, your faith in your team, your coworkers, and the people around you. Like, are you a fighter jet surrounded by crop dusters? If you are, then you probably don't have faith in your team, right? I have faith in myself. I'm a fighter jet. Oh my God, my team is all crop dusters. Well, find a better team. Like, I feel so much better being surrounded by other fighter jets, right?
Totally.
So faith in yourself, faith in your team, and your team could be your family, your friends, your business partners, your coworkers, etc. And then faith in a higher power. Like, there is a higher power out there. For some people, it might be Christ, might be Allah, whoever your God is, or the universal consciousness. There's a higher power, and people go, well, how do you know? Because the moment someone puts a gun to your head and says, give me your fucking money, you go, oh God. That is instinctive. So we all ask the higher power to spare our lives in a moment of, oh my God, I'm gonna get shot. And so just that alone, we sense that there's a higher power. And so there's faith, there's family, the second pillar. Your family, if you have all this money and all this wealth, but you have no one to share it with, it's so sad and unfortunate to be a lonely millionaire, to be successful and lonely, no one to share the money with, the experiences with, the freedoms with. So family is so important, and we see how men will suffer in silence. They don't show up as the modern day knights to their wives and to their kids. They don't ask for what their needs are, and they don't fulfill the needs of their spouses. And so we teach that as well, how to be the rock and the support system for your family, and how to get what you want from your family. So after your faith and your family, you have your fitness, your mental fitness, emotional fitness, and physical fitness. You must be fortified as a rock to be able to handle anything that the entrepreneurial world or the regular world throws at you. Your fitness, and finally, your finances. Like, money is a weapon. Money is a vehicle to freedom. Money is a vehicle to access. Like what we do every year here at Fit Body Bootcamp with our, money that we buy toys every Christmas for Toys for Tots, and we donate, what was it? One year we bought $250,000 worth of toys. Man, that was bananas,
crazy,
right? And then the 7 figures that we've donated to Shriners Children's Hospital. Like, money is a vehicle of impact and freedom and access, and you got to have your finances squared away. And if you have your faith, family, fitness, and finances squared away, you will have that sense of fulfillment. You will fulfill your greater potential on this planet and be used as a weapon of change. And again, the man who knows what I'm talking about is feeling it right now in their gut. They're like, shit, I think the project's for me. And if it is, then, find me on Instagram or just go to mdkproject.com and apply for it. It is for you, and let us train you, condition you, and help you go through the experience and level up.
Dude, love it. I was going to ask how they could find more about it. Anything else to share from your perspective in terms of just the background or the reason why it's came to be?
Yeah, so one thing I like to share is when people see the videos like we showed earlier, it looks like you guys are torturing these men. The truth is, men must always slap the dragon to see if they still have what it takes. So every young boy wants to know, do I have what it takes? And only his dad can answer that, or a male mentor can answer that. Because this is why boys wrestle their dads and their older brothers. Like, do I have what it takes to pin my dad? Do I have what it takes to box my dad? Do I have what it takes? And then as a man, every few years, we want to ask, do I still have what it takes? And that's a man's need to slap the dragon. Basically, slap the dragon and see what the dragon does and see if you could combat him, fight him. Like, you got to do that. Like, this is sadly why men stir up wars. That's the wrong way to slap the dragon, right? Let's not go stir up wars and problems and infidelity and addictions. Like, we cause problems in our lives. There's a better way to do that. Go do the project, challenge yourself, do Suckfest like we did,
cool.
Where we literally ran a full marathon and did 4,080 reps in the gym in one day. Like, we have what it takes, bro. Like, we have what it takes, because that's not people like, well, that's just physical. No, it's not.
No.
When your body starts breaking down, it is your brain, your mind.
It's mental, man.
It is mental. You go into that other room mentally, and you're like, there was not even a door there. And a moment ago, now there's a door with a golden doorknob, and I opened it, and I just met a savage, and it looks like me.
Yeah.
And that savage is what took me, when I did Suckfest, from mile number 17 to 26.2.
Totally.
And all the thousands of reps that we did in the gym. That's that mental fortitude. So we all need to test ourselves every now and again as men. We created the project to create that environment, and then we nurture the brotherhood and encourage them to keep testing themselves in ways like Suckfest and just doing ice bath dips every weekend or whatever, long hikes. As it turns out, I think it's John Eldridge who wrote in his book, he says, every man needs a battle to fight, an adventure to have, and a beauty to rescue. That is in our DNA, man. And the beauty is our spouses, and the battle that we're fighting is building a business, becoming entrepreneurs, and winning our financial freedoms and making a lot of money and doing a lot of good with it. And then that adventure is, that Suckfest or the overnight hike that we did from sundown to sunup, or
that was Suckfest 1.
Suckfest 1, yeah, that just all the crazy stuff. Like, if you don't have that battle to fight, adventure to have, and beauty to rescue, you're not living. You're just existing, man. Yeah.
B, dude, thanks for sharing, man. That was incredible. And, highly encourage you, friends at home, to check out the Modern Day Night Project. Absolutely game-changing. 13 classes going in, seeing the testimonials. You guys have seen the videos. But whether you do or not, the big call to action here, and why I wanted to get you to the studio, is just talk about personal growth. Let's talk about mindset. It's talking about leadership. Let's talk about challenging yourself, because that's really the only way you're going to be successful in fitness and business and life. So a lot of knowledge bombs today. So B, man, appreciate you hopping on. Anything else before we shoot for today?
No, man, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk about the project and its origins.
Yeah, absolutely. Just fires me up. So, all right, friends, we'll hopefully you got a ton of value. As always, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube, and write us an awesome review on iTunes, and we will see you on the next episode. Thank you.